Welcome to the next episode of Nell's Epic Business Show. And on this next episode, we have the wonderful Louise Handley with us from Perfect Balance Bookkeeping. That's a mouthful. Welcome, Louise, to our podcast. Hi. So to start off with, as always, Louise, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Louise and I own Perfect Balance Bookkeeping. So we're based in Fleet, or Church Crookham more precisely, in Hampshire. We've got a unit that we work out of, and I've got a few girls that work with me. I'm ever so grateful for. But yeah, we look after anything from bookkeeping, payroll, VAT returns, CIS returns, and we also focus very much on zero training and zero bookkeeping support.
Fabulous. And how long have you been in business for?
So I set up Perfect Balance in December 2016, the 2nd of December to be exact. I started doing a few bits on a self-employed basis in the June, July time that year, but officially I set up my business in December.
Okay. And what inspired you to start your business?
I had, since the age of about 12, I'd been working at a family business, not bookkeeping related. And I think it was in 2009, I ended up doing my training and took over the bookkeeping. Sadly, the bookkeeper there was terminally ill, and we knew that she was going to need to step away. So I'd always enjoyed doing everything. I always prepared everything for her. So it made sense for me to go down that route. Sometimes working with family isn't always the easiest thing. It works for a lot of people, doesn't work for some. And it got to the point where actually I decided I needed to step away from the business. And it was actually Luke, my husband, that suggested I set up my own business, which I thought he was absolutely balmy. To be honest, I thought I just needed to, look for a job, go and apply for some and work a 9 to 5. But yeah, here I am.
So when you were having these conversations with Luke, obviously you made the step into starting a business and not getting a job. Can you remember at that stage why you decided to go down that route?
I think he made me believe that I could do it. It was the scariest thing I have ever done, but I'm so pleased that I did it. And yeah, I think I just thought, okay, yeah, I can do this. And we sort of spoke about the monetary side of things, and I thought, okay, well, if I haven't got the income coming in straight away, then we'll be okay for X amount of months. And actually, I was fine from day dot. It took off really well, really nicely, and so we never hit any of those sort of financial issues or anything. Yeah, I think the belief that he had in me really helped.
I love that. And actually, I was going to ask, so for you, you'd actually worked out quite a few things in advance before you went, right, I can do this.
Yeah, definitely. I've been sitting, I love my pen and paper. I like making lists all the time for everything. So I'd written out, all of our mortgage bills, all the different rates and everything that we had to pay, food, shopping, the lot, mobile bills, fuel, made a list of everything to work out what I actually needed to earn in a month to just cover those things, not allowing for any extras. Nice. Worked out how many hours I was going to need to work to do that, and, broke it all down to like the finest detail. But it was actually through, so one of my friends owned a couple of barbershops, and I started doing her bookkeeping in the sort of June, July time of that year. And it was as it got closer to the stage that I was stepping away from employment that it was one of the guys that came into the shop there that ended up having a chat with me and sort of got my foot in the door of the sort of the self-employed bookkeeping role that I ended up being in. So I think sometimes everything happens for a reason, and it will be, and it definitely worked out that way.
Okay, so how would you, in like one word or a really short sentence, how would you describe your business journey so far?
Surprising.
Oh, tell me more.
I think when I first set out, I thought it was going to be a real slow burner. I thought maybe I'd have a couple of clients that I'd be doing some bookkeeping for. And if anyone asked me to make a plan at that point or a prediction as to where I would be with my business, then I thought, and I remember saying at the time, that I wanted for, at the 2 to 3 year mark, I wanted to be at the stage where I needed to get some help, even on a part-time basis. But that came after 6 months. So I was surprised at that point, and I've continued to be surprised at my business growth, I suppose, over the years that I've been doing it. So yeah, surprising is probably a good word to describe it all.
What would you, what's the word I'm looking for here? What would you put that success down to? Why do you think that your business growth has continued to be so great?
I think with what we do, a lot of clients that we take on, even without asking, we end up hearing from them as to the reason why they're either looking for a bookkeeper or changing bookkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we speak to people who say that they're coming to us because, and 9 times out of 10 people come to us through word of mouth or through one of our existing clients. So people that know us and know how we work.
Okay.
And one thing that I pride us on is that we always encourage people to ask questions. A lot of people come to us and say, oh, I felt really uncomfortable before because I'd be made to feel really stupid if I asked a question. And if there was something I didn't understand, I'd be made to feel like, well, why don't you understand it? You should know this.
Yeah.
And we always take the time to explain everything through with people, no matter what that subject is. And we provide a service that I feel that I'm comfortable with the fact that everyone's really happy with our service. We don't lose many clients at all. And if we have, it's not down to anything that we've done. It's external situations.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's quite interesting. I'll circle back to especially the not losing clients. I think that's quite intriguing. What do you put that down to? Like, are there specific things that you can pinpoint that you go, this is what we're really, really great at?
So again, we work in a slightly different way to some bookkeeping firms, in that we update everyone's bookkeeping weekly. So every single week we log on to every single client to update anything that's there. And at the end of that month, we will then send a list of any missing items. A lot of companies will work in a way that it gets to the end of a quarter, they'll ask for all of the details, all the information, and then everything's updated.
Yeah.
Whereas the way that we work gives people a really precise idea of what's going on in their business. So if they need to know some figures or they need to look at some reports, they know that they can log on, and at worst, it's going to be a week out of date, or there might be a few transactions that aren't dealt with because they haven't given us the information for, but at least they're aware of that. So we keep everything updated and we keep them informed as well.
I absolutely love that. And you're right, because having the right kind of figures to hand is so important as business owners, as we both know. And they're often, how often do we talk about it? Systems are great, but systems are only as good as the human that's input the information in the system. And yeah, you're right. A lot of bookkeepers out there do this quarterly, monthly, or whatever. So you're already always on the back foot, I guess. So I absolutely love that. Talk me through some of the key challenges that you've had in the time that you've had the business. So what have been some of the, the mistakes or some of the things that have happened that have kept you awake?
To be honest, for me, it's always down to staffing. I want to say staffing issues, but it's not issues with the staff, because mine are great. Issues with finding people.
All right.
So it sort of gets to the stage where, so if we take COVID, for example, beginning of the pandemic, obviously the majority of businesses froze. Everyone panicked quite a lot. No one really knew what they were meant to be doing, what they were going to be doing. And at that stage, it was all a bit up in the air for most people. We found by the time it got to the end of April, I'd actually taken on extra clients, partly because they'd worked out different ways of running their business and then decided that actually outsourcing their bookkeeping at that time would allow them to concentrate on those new ideas.
Yeah.
So I needed to look for someone else to join the team. So I took someone else on in the May. Then in the August, I had someone else. In the October, I had someone else. And everything came quite quickly. So trying to keep on top of the workload and the staff to help me with that workload, it was very hard to know exactly what I needed at any one time, because the last thing I wanted to do was take anyone on and then find that I didn't have the work for them, because I didn't want to give someone work and take it away just as quick.
Yeah. And then you've got that gracing period, haven't you, where you've got someone new coming in that you need to train, which takes up more of your time, which then distracts you from doing some other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's that. So you've had that kind of period quite a few times in short succession.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the marketplace out there right now is just a little bit crazy.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of people have ended up, whether it's down to it or whether it's had part to play in it, but the Kickstart scheme seems to have put a lot of people and it's a good thing. It's put a lot of people into roles out there that might not have been there before. But we've definitely noticed, we're looking for a new admin staff at the moment. And before, you'd put an advert out and you'd get 20 applicants. And that has quartered for the number of people. And I do wonder if that has got a part to play in it, because a lot of people that would potentially be looking have actually got roles now. So at least if it is down to that, the scheme worked.
That is true. That is true. As a business owner, how do you deal with pressure? Because we've all got it, right? There's days where all the plates are spinning. So what's your go-tos for dealing with pressure?
Firstly, I try and force myself to go and take the dogs for a walk.
Love that.
I think that there's nothing better than just being in the fresh air and having, even if the work thoughts do come into your mind, don't have a notebook in front of you to start frantically scribbling. You just clear everything. And secondly, going back to what I said earlier, I do remind myself that what's meant to be will be.
It's kind of trusting in the outcome, because you know that if you keep doing the right activities, the outcome will be there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe in myself, my team, and our capabilities. So I know that everything will get done, and we'll sort whatever it is that needs sorting, whether it's we've suddenly ended up with extra work on our hands because someone wants more help with something, or whether it's just down to me and some sort of business planning. I know it will get done.
Okay. What's the one thing that surprised you the most about having a business?
I think if you'd have asked me at the beginning of starting my business as to what I thought it would give me, I think I probably would have thought that it would have given me more freedom, and maybe I wouldn't be working quite so many hours. And it's been the absolute opposite. I work way too many hours. The freedom, yes, it's there if I can take myself away from the business. But when it's your business, you're so dedicated to make it work. You don't want to let the clients down. You don't want to let your team down. And so that commitment that I've got to it then finds myself thinking, oh, well, I should do that. Oh, I should do that. And then sitting with my laptop in the evenings. And I'm trying to steer away from that slightly, which again is where the staffing comes into it.
Yeah.
But I do have some plans and goals that I want to reach with regards to that now.
I love that. That's an interesting one. How often do we hear that from business owners? Started a business with exactly that reason, and then often they find it's exactly the opposite of what they wanted.
Yeah, you end up working more than a full-time job.
More than a full-time job, yeah. Always the first one in and the last one out by many hours. Yeah. Totally. What does failure look like for you?
Oh, failure to me, the first thing that would make me feel like I had failed is if we lost clients, meaning I had to lose staff. Because for me, I am their safety net at the end of the day. I provide them with work. I provide them with an income. And if the business meant that they had no job, that would be the biggest failure for me.
Wow. I love that. Now, being a business owner can be quite challenging and can bring quite a bit of stress with us. You live in a household where two of you are in business, but in a different business. What's that like?
Stressful at times. 9 times out of 10, like, it's absolutely brilliant. And actually, I've had people say before, oh, do you never worry? You've both got your own business. What if this happens? What if that happens? But I think if you're as motivated as we are, and I'm going to say as capable as we are, it should be no different than having a 9-to-5 job and actually being worried that that business is going to go under and you lose your job from it. The times that it does get interesting, which fortunately isn't often, is if we've both got pressures in our own businesses at the same time, because obviously, whereas normally you'd be able to say, oh, what do you think about this, or run certain ideas past, if you've both got those things going on, it just doubles that sort of stress level. But it hasn't happened often, and we're both always there to support each other as well, which is nice.
I was going to say, have you kind of found your way that if that does happen, have you found your way to just still support and help each other through that, despite what's going on in your own business?
Yeah, absolutely. And we both ask each other for ideas, or sometimes if we've had a thought about something, we'll say, oh, you know what, this is my situation at the moment, and I was thinking of doing this. What do you think? And having someone else's perspective on it is quite good.
Okay. In your opinion, what behavior traits do you think we need to make a good business owner or a great business owner?
Confidence. You've got to believe in yourself to be able to make it work, for a start. Good people skills. I think I've been in a role previously where I'm going to say, main boss doesn't have that many people skills. And actually, when you're in a situation like that, I think respect goes both ways. So I always think, yes, I've got a team of people behind me, but we all get on fantastically. I might be business owner and boss at the end of the day, but I'm not above my station. I'm not too good to change the loo roll or empty the bins. And if I want a cup of tea, I'm not going to click my fingers and get someone else to make it. I'll go put the kettle on and I'll make everyone else a cup of tea. So teamwork is definitely important for me. I like to think that we're all level. Yes, I make the decisions at the end of the day, but I like to think that all the girls have got respect for me because I respect them.
Yeah, and I like that. That's some great answers there. When you think back of your time at school, what particular subjects would you say that you learned at school that you're really using now as a business owner, that you go, gosh, haven't had that at school, that really comes in handy? And then it's sort of a sub question, I guess, to that is, and what's currently not being taught at school that you think, you know what, for that next level of that next generation of business owners coming out in the team that's currently at school, what should they be taught? So yeah, double question, that one.
Yeah, so the first part of that question is a hard one for me, but only because I have such an awful memory that I feel like I could have probably not done with school. Sounds really bad, doesn't it? But I don't feel like much of what I do in my business or everyday business, I don't really think that anything has particularly helped me. Now, at the same time, I know that's a lie in that maths, obviously, a given. Different equations, sums, how to work things out, stuff like that. But I think there's a lot missing from school that actually you do need in later life. And even if I go back to like the people skills side of things, for me, I think that some subject around, let's say, management as a whole, and whether that management skills would cover, organization, planning, people, how to deal with people, how to speak to people, how to treat people, which that all goes into and fits into the management side of things. And I think without those skills, running a successful business is very hard.
Interesting. I love that. I have to admit, the more we're doing these, the more I love this question, because the answers that we get back have been really, really interesting. What do you love most about running your business, or about being a business owner?
I like the fact that it makes me feel proud. It's a sense of achievement. So it's something that I've done, and I've built this business. But it also does allow me, and I know I've already said that I'm not too good at doing this, but it does allow you a certain aspect of freedom. Okay. If I want to take a couple of days off to spend some time with friends or family, or, you know, go somewhere or do a day here, there and everywhere, I don't need to have a look at my holiday allowance. I don't need to look at my annual leave to see what I've got left and change some days over, or I can think to myself, okay, well, I haven't got any payrolls to run on that day, or, you know, whichever.
Yeah.
And I can take a day if I need to, even if that is last minute.
Okay. What's your next big dream, your next big thing that you're working towards?
I want to go on holiday for 2 weeks. At the moment, I don't mind where. I do have a list of different places.
Of course.
I want to do a 2-week holiday, because especially since starting my business, we've managed a week at most. But I haven't felt comfortable doing 2.
Talk me through the list. What's on the list?
So for the longer holiday, so the 2 weeks plus, Thailand. Desperately want to go to Thailand.
Okay.
I want to go on safari. I did a 3-day safari many years ago. I did a month with my auntie. We volunteered at a monkey sanctuary in South Africa, and so I went and did like a 3-day taster. So
Lovely.
I go back and do a full safari holiday. And I'd like to go back to Australia, but I'd like to also go over to Fiji and do that. So they're the 3 things that I'd like to do, which warrant extra time, more than a week.
More than, especially the last one, I guess. Australia is, you wouldn't want to go just for the week, would you?
No, we did our honeymoon there, and we managed to eat, I think, 15 days in total.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't feel long enough. Okay. If you had a magic wand, this is sort of the last question before we circle into the quick fire questions at the end. If you had a magic wand and there's one thing you could change about your business, what would that be?
Oh, that is a really difficult one. I think literally the only thing that I can think of at the moment is I would like a full-time bookkeeper that would be in a position of being a bookkeeping manager, in the sense of everything else with the business, i.e. the services we offer, what we do. I'm happy with what we do and where we're at. So yeah, for me, it would just be having that extra person that could help me with certain aspects of workload.
And I was just going to say, having that person, what would that mean to you?
Yeah, so because I'd have someone then every day of the week, it means that there's certain payrolls that I do, or certain aspects and levels of support that I give to our clients that actually they could be redirected to said person. And also it means that there would be a point of contact for the other bookkeepers to talk to that person as well as myself. So
really what you're saying is it would free some of your time up to actually be a business owner and not necessarily always doing the work yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Last 3 quick fire questions. Everybody gets these. What would you tell your 10-year-old self?
I would tell her to enjoy life, to make the most of it, and to be grateful that the world is not surrounded by technology, because I find that ever so sad about today when I look back at me riding my bike and doing my cartwheels across the garden. Everyone nowadays is sat on their iPads.
Oh, love that. Okay. If you had a chance to start again knowing what you know now, what would you do differently?
Take on a full-time bookkeeper the minute that I felt I needed help. Just do it. Not be worried about having the workload. Go for it. The work's there.
Okay, love that one. And then the last one, what's the best bit of advice that you've ever had? Could be life, business, or both. But what's the best bit of advice that you've received?
This is an easy one for me now because I got told this yesterday. Look after number one. Because if you don't look after yourself, everything else could fall apart around you. If you're looking after yourself, then whatever comes your way, you can deal with.
That links very much into what I often talk about. Put your own oxygen mask on first when you're on the plane. It's the first thing they say. Put your own oxygen mask on first. Absolutely love that. I have loved this time with you, Louise. Thank you so much. There's some really good little gems in this one. Thank you very much for being here today. To everybody watching or listening, thank you for watching this episode. We look forward to seeing you next time, another episode of the Epic Business Show. And in the meantime, go be epic.